Okay, so well, let's get right to it. I tried to do some homework on you and I didn't see anything written, so I was like, oh man, okay, so I get to start just right off the bat. Tell me everything about you. Tell me who you are. Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so my name is Donovan. So I grew up in Murray, Kentucky. My mom was in college. So um, now I live in Madisonville, Kentucky. So I make music. I love making all types of music. And yeah, I guess that's me.
So how was your tell me a little bit about your family life. So your mom had you when she was in college. Was it just her? Was dad in the picture? Extended family. Tell me more about your family background.
Yeah, I was um so I grew up so my mom was in college. She had me while she was in college. And she was You can still see me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. My mom had me while she was in college, and she was a single mom raising, a little boy in college. And apparently I was a really good kid for college. I mean, I could entertain myself. I was super quiet. I was, I talked a lot, but I was like a relative, like she could take me to class. It was very, very
That's awesome.
different. So a lot of people like couldn't take their kids to class, and
Right.
the professors are like, he doesn't make any noise. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, I grew up there till I was about the third grade. Then I moved to Madisonville, Kentucky, and I graduated from high school here. And then I went to college for a couple years. So my dad's always been in my life. My mom and dad are just not together, but he's always been in my life, and he's wonderful. So my dad is a pastor, um, and my mom is a counselor, actually a mental health counselor. So
That's amazing. Okay.
yeah,
So does that mean that you had kind of like a faith-filled home, even though your parents weren't together?
100%. Yeah. So when my mom went to college, she found the Lord, and she started following Him, and like she's raised me from the ground up. Literally, if you could describe my childhood, like it was so filled with an intentional parental discipleship that it's actually crazy. So like my mom is the best mom in the world when it comes to teaching your children the things of God. Like, oh my God, like I was able to ask her questions about God, like, well, mom, if God is real, then why this? And she didn't treat me like I was crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like she really like helped walk me through and think me through. In middle school, I got picked on a lot because I've always been a bigger guy, right? So in middle school, people picked on me because I was a bigger guy, but I was always happy. Like I was a super happy kid. I was a joyous kid. I think that made a lot of kids jealous, right? Um,
What's wrong with him?
so yeah, well, I think it was just like, why is this dude happy all the time?
Right.
So like I got picked on a lot, and my mom like really helped walk me through finding God in that, right? Because I and I grew up in church. I was the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday kind of churchgoer because my mom was a part of stuff. So um, I've always been in church and been around church. So I had like a wonderful, childhood when it comes to like if I could have if I could give a model woman away to any child in the world, I would have wanted to give my mom away because she was
Oh,
that good.
oh,
So
that's so beautiful. That's wonderful. So
yeah.
since you grew up in church, was there a like a before Jesus story, or was there a moment where you and Jesus deviated and you started doing secular music? Tell me a little bit about
Yeah, 100%. So, because I grew up in church, I knew all the right answers, right? But I didn't have the heart application, right? There's two totally separate things. So, you can have a whole lot of knowledge, um, but even the word says like knowledge is just puffed up if it's just knowledge, right? So like I had in high school, like I had a season probably like from my sophomore to my senior year where I was like two faced for sure. I was on both sides of the fence. Like at church, I was the Christian boy, right? But then at school, like I was I was pretty popular in high school when I got to high school, right? And I was playing both sides of the fence, for sure. So I was doing, drinking, smoking, messing around, sexually and all that stuff. So, the I was doing everything that the world was doing. You know what I'm saying? But I think even in the midst of that, I still had a form of relationship with God, right? I just didn't have it because I knew that God was real and I knew that He wanted a relationship with me. I just didn't understand it in the world of high school, right? When you're in high school, it's hard to think outside of high school,
Hmm.
right? So I really couldn't see the forest for the trees, if you would say. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like so used to high school. So I was used to school, right? And you think that's what your life's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Right.
gonna be high school and it's not. So yeah, I definitely I went to college after that and it was just like at college I crashed like bad. So that was like the worst season of my life for the first like 6 months of that. Um, Started sleeping around a lot more. I was drinking every single day.
Oof.
Um, yeah, I was going to class like buzzed over, hungover. So I just took it. There were parties every day. So of course I was at every party, um, trying to talk to any girl that I could, right? So like that was the lifestyle that I kind of developed, and then I realized like, man, I really don't have a relationship with God that is solid. Like I realized that. So, and then while I was in college, I got invited to this thing called campus outreach. It was a campus ministry, and I met this guy named Jake Peterman, and he started to disciple me, like, and then all the truths that I already knew, it was just like from growing up in church, it was like God was bringing those to life for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of where I started. That was like after the first year of me being in college. I started being a part of campus outreach, and then everything kind of changed from there. So,
That's so beautiful. Um, so tell me, where does music come in?
hmm
Were you doing
yeah,
music
so
since you were a little one, or?
I've been doing music my entire life. So I've been from singing in the choir at church. You know what I'm saying? Like being the cute little church boy that's up there singing, and I've always had a decent voice, so I've been able to sing and stuff my entire life. And then in high school, I was in like choir. And then me and my buddy had this clean R&B kind of thing that we were doing in high school. Like baby can it be type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like so we had that kind of stuff in high school because my mama wouldn't let me, do
Right.
anything else.
Yeah.
But I had a studio in my house whenever I was in high school. My mom and dad invested in the studio for me because they both knew I was called to music, right?
Oh.
My mom has said her whole life, like, God told me you're going to be a worshiper. And I was like, yo,
Oh.
that's cool.
Okay.
So
I'm in.
yeah, it was crazy. So I went to college, and then I started like when I first got to college, I started to make more secular songs, that were talking about the world. And then during the season that I started going to campus outreach, they were getting me into public speaking and doing different things like that. So like I was emceeing events, different stuff like that. So and I started to develop my desire to really create music again. And at this point, I'm like, man, I want to be the voice that I did not have. Right? I want to make the music that I did not have. So ever since college, like I started making music, and I had some success, and then I had some failures, and then some other things happened in my life. And then, I ended the most recent places. God told me to serve my brothers. My brothers are younger than me. They're like 10 years younger than me. So that one of them just graduated high school, and the other one is going to graduate in a year or so. And my brothers love my music. Um, and my brother, what really started everything musically for me was my brother messaged me one of my old songs, and he was like, "I need another song like this." This was in 2022. He's like, "I need another song like this." And then I wrote this song called "Heavenly Poetry," um, and it blew up on TikTok. It just went crazy. So that's really kind of how it all got started. It was just because I was trying to serve my brother, and God's like, "I can honor that."
That's a
You know what I'm saying? So,
That's amazing. Okay, so you got your start on TikTok, and I was gonna say, wow, 2022 to 2024, you've had okay, so you just kind of like it's been really recent for you. Okay, okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. So you had that aha moment in college that you were like, okay, we're doing this thing for God, and that's really cool. So I listened to your submission just to get ready for our interview, and I read the description that it was about your cancer journey.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
tell me about that. Tell me about like the health, your health before, and then tell me about the diagnosis and what that was like.
100%. So, back in March of last year, I had this little knot on my chest. Um, I didn't know, well, I noticed it in 2022 in like November of 2022. But it was growing, and in March, I started going to the doctor because I was like, okay, this thing's not getting smaller. And I was trying to figure out what was going on. So, start going to the doctor. It's nothing. It's nothing. We don't know what it is. It's fine, kind of deal. Then my breast starts to, one of my breasts starts to really increase in size. So I go to a different doctor because I'm like, this doctor's not getting me anywhere. Go to a different doctor, and he's like, I want to look deeper into this. This could be more serious than what we think. And then he wants to remove some lymph nodes from my arm. So he does that, and then the test results come back that I was positive for lymphoma.
Hmm.
So it's a type of cancer. Um, so obviously, like before that, I was just getting to a place where my health was getting back to where I wanted it to be. And then like in a sense of I was working out every day. I was losing weight. I've always been a bigger guy, but I've always moved fine. Even though a big guy, like I've always been able to move and do what I need to do. I played basketball in high school. But I was trying to get back to my high school size, right? And I was working out, doing different stuff. Um, and then this kind of thing hit where it was like, oh gosh, like I have cancer. I'm a 20-something-year-old with cancer. This is different. So obviously all the fear that comes along with that, you know what I'm saying? All of the doubt and uncertainty that comes along with that. Really, I was like, okay, like what does this mean? And I was like, okay, God, like I've trusted you with my life. What does this mean? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I started, so I got that diagnosis in September, met with the cancer doctor in October, and then at the end of October, I had my first chemo treatment. Um, yeah, from October to the middle of February, I had 6 rounds of chemo. Um, After the 6 rounds of chemo, there really wasn't a lot of improvement. There was improvement in some areas, but other areas weren't. And then I did 18 rounds of radiation, uh, and we've seen significant improvement. So to near remission is what they're calling it. So my doctor, I was happy. My doctor was happy. And then I've been walking again. I've been exercising again. What people don't realize is like during chemo, like most of my time was spent laying,
You just feel
laying around. Like
terrible,
you,
right?
oh my god,
Yeah.
it's like if you've ever had the flu, it's like having the flu without nasal symptoms.
Ooh,
So like that's what your body feels like the weakness that you
ooh.
feel. It feels like that for about 7 to 10 days. You feel like that without the nasal congestion. Um, and then it takes about 3 weeks for you to really recover, and your treatments are every 3 weeks.
Right. So it's just
So
right back up.
it's
Ooh.
exactly as soon as you start feeling
Oh,
better, like day 15, I'm like, yeah, I feel great, and not realizing in 5 days I'm going to do it again.
oh no.
so um, so yeah, so that's kind of how my health had been. Um, I have one more step in my treatment, which is to do a stem cell transplant.
Huh.
Um, so it's where they take my stem cells from my bone marrow, and they take them out of my body so that it can help my body
Hmm.
recover. And they shoot you with super high doses of chemo so that they can make sure they got everything.
Oh wow.
They want to wipe out everything. Um, so it's like the last sweep they do of your body to try to kill all the cancer cells. Because they're still like they call them seeds. They could be, if there's one or two cancer cells left, those could multiply,
Right. And
right?
because it's in the
So
lymph nodes, it kind of spreads throughout your body, right?
throughout the whole
Right.
body, exactly. Um, so I was fortunate. Um, I was fortunate to where I only had lymphoma in my breast, in my armpit area, and then I had one spot on my femur.
Oh,
Um, the spot on my femur is completely gone, so there's nothing. And then like I have only have a couple spots, right? So I'm like near, like super close to remission. They're gonna do the stem cell transplant, and then I should be in what they consider remission.
that's wonderful.
So
And so,
yeah.
it's well, not funny. It's curious that you say that because the men in my family also are known to have breast cancer on my dad's side. And so there's
Hmm.
a picture of my dad where he got his breast tissue removed, and so he has his scars. And so now that you know that you are susceptible to cancer, do you have to like
Yeah.
now do uh, checks every once in a while, like for lumps or anything
Yeah.
like that?
So yeah. So I'll have to go in for checkups every 6 months. They'll do a scan to kind of see where I'm at. So I'll have these 6 month blocks where I'll kind of be able to live normal.
Okay.
And then we'll do a scan to see if there's anything. And if there is something, then I'll have to, undergo more treatment. If there's not, then, I'll be good for another 6 months.
Are there
Yep.
warning signs that you should be looking for? They're like, hey, look for this. If you feel this kind of
Yeah.
way, then come back and
Yeah. I had a lot of coughing. Like I had coughing before I found out what it was. I had like I was coughing all the time. I didn't understand why. It was actually harming my vocals because I was coughing so much. So I was losing my voice all the time. Um, so I had that. I also had coughing. I was feeling fatigue and I was having night sweats where I was sweating at night. Yeah. So, and I thought I didn't know what it was for, but I noticed that I was sweating at nighttime. And those are symptoms. So those are like easy signs, like, hey, something's wrong, right? And you need to probably get this checked out. So if any of that stuff happens, then I know, like, hey, I need to go to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? So,
and is
and
that
I don't have any night sweats now. I don't have any coughing now. All that kind of stuff. So,
is
yeah.
that typical symptoms for men who have
Yeah,
that? It is.
that's typical symptoms for cancer and lymphoma. Is like coughing is a cancer symptom. Um, Night sweats are a cancer symptom, and I didn't even realize how fatigued I was until now. I feel like I have so much strength now, right? And I've been done with the radiation for about a month and a half. And when I tell you I feel good, I feel so good right now. And I didn't even like before, I didn't realize how fatigued I
Right.
was, right? Um, and that's just because it kind of gradually you get fatigued,
Sure.
right? So you don't really notice, you kind of get used to it. But now I'm
You
like,
notice a
man,
difference.
like yeah, I noticed a huge difference. So yeah.
All right. So tell me while you're going through, um, like really like a pressing period, right? When you're, you can't do all the things that you're used to. You're just kind of like existing because you're so tired from the chemo and the radiation and all that. Um, how is your faith right there in that moment where you're just like, okay, God, I was
100%.
doing this awesome stuff for you, and now I'm like in this situation. Like, what was your relationship with God like then?
Yeah, so I believe there's two different types of people in life. There's people who believe the cup's half empty and people who believe the cup is half full, right? I'm one of those people who believe the cup is half full. So I believe like I'm super optimistic. I believe that God can do anything. But I also trust God all the way into death, right? It's kind of scary saying that, right?
Hmm.
But I do. I trust the Lord. I remember whenever we first got the diagnosis for about 30 minutes when I was reading the diagnosis for my cancer. I definitely freaked out, right? Like I was like like a panic attack kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Mhm.
I was kind of having one of those for like 30 minutes. And then I'm surprised it didn't last longer, but
Yeah.
it was like about 30 minutes. And then it was like the presence of God just kind of washed over me, right? And I just began to spend time with God and spend time in the Word. And And it's so crazy because in life people always say, I would die for you, right? But I felt like God in that season said, will you live for me?
Mm.
Right? It's easy to say, oh, I'll jump in front of a bullet and die for you.
Mm.
But it's harder to say, I'll live for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even in the midst of having something so challenging and so hard. Right? So I made a decision with the Lord. I was like, Lord, I trust you. And I'm not just going to lay down. I'm going to do everything that I can, everything that I'm capable. So I recorded songs while I was on chemo. I actually performed at Glowvember with Miles Minnick. Um, like it was so the first after my first chemo, the next weekend I led worship at a women's conference, and then the weekend after that, I was on stage in LA doing Glowvember.
How did you get the energy?
So
Like that must have been like a God thing. Like, let me carry you through this, right?
I was just on such a spiritual high. Like I was just like, God, I trust you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm actually getting goosebumps now because I remember, I remember the season. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember, and I just got goosebumps all over me. But I was on such a spiritual high, and I had decided in my mind and in my heart, I am not going to let the enemy win. I'm not going to let him steal my joy. I'm not going to let him steal my peace. I can't. You know what I'm saying? That's not who I am. That's not who God's created me to be. One scripture that I hold on to, I believe it's in 2 Corinthians 5. It says, and God was as and God is making His appeal through us. So like God is saying to the world, "Hey, I am a good God. I am a loving God. I am a powerful God. You want to know why? Look at these people, right? And they'll show you how powerful I am." So like I take that responsibility with a lot of courage, and I'm like, "Okay, God, I'm going to be everything that you want me to be." And even in the midst of what the enemy tried to create to destroy me, I'm going to allow it to build my faith. Well, a quick story. So me and my wife were driving in the car one day, and this story is so like it's so crazy. So so obviously I do music, right? Do you know the percentage of artists who are actually successful in music?
Oh
Do you know that
no,
percentage?
but I know it's small.
0.003%
Oh,
artists are successful. So like obviously when you get diagnosed with something like this, like we're looking up percentages, all this kind of stuff. And God like stopped us in our tracks one day. Me and my wife, we were driving. And we felt like it was like prompted by the Holy Spirit, like look up that statistic. And we looked up that statistic, and God was like, "You've already beat the odds." Like when I tell you a level of empowerment came washed over us, like I'm like, "Yo, that's correct." You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy. Like God has already done something so amazing, right?
that's awesome.
Um, and then and then he's like, if you could believe that I could do, because I've had faith, like trying to fight for my music career. And he's like, if you can believe me for point zero
When
zero three percent, the percentages of beating cancer are way higher than that.
no,
You know what I'm saying?
I got this.
Like get yeah, 100%. So like from that point, we were like, we're not gonna sit in no pity parties. We're not gonna feel sorry for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get up. Nothing wrong with dealing with the intensity of a situation, but we're not gonna stay there. We're going to say, okay, God, I trust you, and we're gonna get up and do what God has called us to do. And my prayer is just that, man, I'm able to bless so many people and empower people to really trust the Lord, like even in the midst of a valley, to trust Him. So.
That's beautiful. I was trying to, so I was listening to the lyrics, trying to like kind of put myself in your shoes. Like, okay, he's battling cancer. He's writing this song. It's amazing, by the way. I loved it. Um, and it's just struck me. This lyric in particular, it says, "I couldn't outlast your patience. You were right there waiting for me." So what I hear you saying is that like you were
Don't make me cry. Don't make me cry.
that you were like, okay, you were like, God, I know you got me. I'm right here. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna live for you. Tell me what that lyric was about right
hmm Yeah. Um, so the patience of God is something that I'm learning so much about. Like I'm in school right now, like learning about the patience of God. So It's the original lyric that I actually wrote, but I changed it because I felt like outlast was better. I couldn't outrun your patience, right? Um, but but I believe the patience of God has force to it. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, outlast feels like something that's more forceful. So I changed the lyric. But in the sense, like, I couldn't outrun the patience that God had for me in this season. You know, God has patience for us in seasons that are hard. He's okay that we doubt
Mm,
him. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not angry at us because because we're going through something hard and we don't understand. You know, I couldn't outlast God's patience for me in this season. You know, I couldn't outrun his heart because he was right there waiting. You know, every single time he's there waiting. Um and and uh and he wants to wait. Like that's his, like a server at a restaurant, how they just waiting on you. You know, the Lord is the server that never leaves the table. He's just sitting there waiting. He's like, you just let me know what you need and I'll get it and I'll stay right here. Right? I'll get what you need and I'll stay right here. So if you need me, I'll be right here. Um, that's how I view God. Like I view him that way. So there's nothing that I could sit around and wonder about or think about or be frustrated about or be angry about that the Lord has not already been. You know, he's the God of the present, but he's the God of the past and he's the God of the future. So he's already been in all three spaces at the same time. I'm just living in the moment. Right? So there's no way for me to outlast his patience, his grace, his love for me. It's impossible. So, yeah, that's what that lyric's
that's
about.
just beautiful. Thank you so much. That this interview has blessed me in so many ways. So you said that you are in school right now. What are you going to school for?
No, I'm not
Oh,
in
okay.
school right now.
You
I
went to
went to
school.
school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went to school.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so, so tell me about what we could be seeing from you in the very near future.
yeah. So with the stem cell transplant, I'll have to be out for a couple months. But right now in this season, uh, I want to call myself. I want to call myself the wrong word. I am very, very passionate and driven. I was going to use the word maniac, but I'm very, very passionate and driven. And I believe God has created me to make music for people. Um, so right now, this month, I'm working on completing about 8 records. Right. So I want to release the entire time I'm on treatment. And already have the content prepared for social media. So I'm working really, really hard right now. But expect a lot of music, right? Expect a lot of self reflection where I'm reflecting on the season that I'm in. Um, expect a lot of passion. Expect a lot of fight, right? Like I'm talking about when I say fight, I mean I'm talking about like on David energy, like who is this uncircumcised Philistine that tried to give me cancer? Who is that? Like, who is this enemy that tried to kill what God has been doing? Like, my music career has absolutely exploded. And right in the middle of that, the enemy tried to throw
That's
something at me. And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm a fighter. Like we're gonna fight this out. You know what I'm saying? And in the last couple of weeks, I've gotten my strength back and I've gotten my mind back. Like as far as I'm feeling healthier and my mind is healthier. Um, and I believe your physical health lines up with your mental health too. And I've been getting my physical health back, so I'm getting my mind back, and now I'm getting a little bit more of that like heavenly swag back, where I'm like, all right, like, what I'm saying, catch me outside. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm getting some of that. I'm getting some of that swag back. And I'm ready to take back everything the enemy tried to steal and then some. I
fun.
need everything. So and the people who are with me, I need them to get stuff
Right.
back too. You know what I'm saying? Because the people, my wife, young Chris, my whole team, they've supported me through like this whole thing. And they've lost a lot. They've had to sacrifice a lot in this season, and I want them to get everything back too. So somebody send a message to the enemy and tell hell to get nervous
He's on
because we on the
notice.
way.
He's on
You know what
notice.
I'm saying?
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's on. Yeah,
So May, well, we're still technically in May. So since you said that, I want to talk about that a little bit. mental health. So we just in mental health awareness month. And tell us what that looks like for you in terms of like your faith, but also getting like the things that you need to make sure that you're mentally, doing okay. Tell us what you do to make sure you get some of that back.
100%. So I take mental health. I actually work
Okay.
in the mental health field. So I'm an office manager of a
Okay.
counseling office. So that's super cool. Um, and my mom is a
Right.
mental health therapist. So I get free sessions.
Nice.
So, but like on a serious note, she called me many times while I was going through, while she's struggling and she's fighting. She was talking to me and like making sure I was okay. So I got like plenty of free sessions out of her. But 100% talking your thoughts out with somebody, and having people in your life that you can share how you really feel. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's 100% necessary for you to be completely honest about where you are and how you feel. And that's I remember maybe 2 months ago whenever I was just finished chemo and I was getting ready to start radiation. I just told my wife I use these words, and I don't even know if I should use these words, but this is what I said. I said I'm pissed off. You know what I'm saying? And I was just so frustrated with everything that was going on. And it was so freeing for me to just be honest about how I felt, right? Because when you're honest about how you feel, then you can
Okay.
deal with it. But until you're honest about a lot of times we try to like suppress how we feel and like, well, I don't have time to feel that. You always have
And
time.
make
You
time.
need to
Hmm.
feel what you feel. Right. Make time to feel what you feel because then you can really deal with it. And then I was able to find people in my life that I could trust and talk to, and share how I felt. And I made sure it was people with wisdom that could meet me with truth. Right. I wanted them to meet me in the place of my frustration. I didn't want Job's friends around me.
Okay.
I didn't want none of them. You know what I'm saying? I wanted people with wisdom that would be like, hey, I understand how you feel and nothing's wrong with how you feel, but remember that the Lord is good, regardless if you can't see it. And that's kind of how I live my life. Is I try to keep people around me that I know are going to speak life, even whenever I'm in a hard season, right? And then the same thing, vice versa. I'm there for them in
Sure.
their hard season, right? That's literally what the body of Christ is that we hold each other up, whenever we're going through hard seasons.
That's
So,
wonderful. Thank you so much, John, for your time and for sharing your story. And I'm just going to pray that I can do your story justice and hope that it goes over magnificently well.
man, you'll do great. I believe in you. So I mean, I believe that I entrust this interview to you to use it in any way that you feel like is fruitful. And the last thing I would leave with people, this is the biggest thing the Lord has taught me in this season, is to protect what's
Mm,
in your mind, right? Protect what's there. Um, don't let any statistics, anything tell you what you can and can't do. Only believe what the Lord tells you that
mm,
you can and can't do. Don't let the enemy have space in your mind and let his doubt. The doubt doesn't even belong to you. It's his doubt that he's
right.
trying to place in you. Protect what's
Mm,
in your mind. And God has been teaching me that he's like protect it with everything. Because your mind, literally the word says, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
mm,
You know what I mean? So that means your mind is a very powerful place. And whatever you believe in your mind is
mm.
what you'll have.
Awesome.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Don. And you will be in my prayers. And I hope that your treatment goes really well and that your albums are hits and that we just keep seeing you like just explode all over.
All
All
right.
right.
That's so awesome.
All
Thank you
right.
so
Bye,
much
bye,
for
friends.
having me.
End
I just hit
button.
the
Yeah, go
end,
ahead.
end button here.